How my best friend exposed my cheating wife. I am Caleb, 35 years old, and after building my dream garage from nothing but an oil-stained driveway and a borrowed socket wrench, I thought I had it all. The garage, C&B Customs, was my baby. A modest three-bay auto shop turned full custom-build mecca with muscle cars, restorations, and deep-pocket collectors lining up for our work. The C was for me, Caleb. The B was supposed to be for my wife, Miranda. Supposed to be. 6 years of marriage. That's what we had, on paper. To the outside world, we were a power couple. Me in grease-stained jeans and a branded black tee, her in fitted pencil skirts and Instagram-perfect smiles, always standing beside me when we cut the ribbon on a new expansion or landed a magazine spread. But behind the scenes, I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel it slipping. Little things, the late nights, the password changes, the fact that she stopped riding shotgun in anything I built. But I ignored it, chalked it up to stress, growth pains, life. We'd gotten together young. She was polished, ambitious, always pushing me to do more, go bigger. I thought she believed in me. I thought she was part of this. The truth? The garage I sacrificed everything for, skipped birthdays, drained savings, lost sleep, busted knuckles and all, that same garage became the centerpiece of the most twisted betrayal I could have imagined. Miranda didn't just fall out of love. She didn't even leave like a decent person. She plotted, she waited, she made it look like support when it was surveillance, and the moment I'd hit the milestone she was waiting for, our first $1 million quarter, she was already lining up lawyers and profiles on dating apps under a fake name. But before I tell you how I exposed her at her own family dinner, with every smug face watching, let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever overcome something for your family. Because you have no idea what I was willing to do once I realized she'd been planning my ruin from the inside. I remember the night things really clicked for me. It wasn't a blowout fight or some big emotional scene. It was a Tuesday. Miranda had just come home from Pilates in full makeup and heels. She gave me a kiss on the cheek that didn't land, muttered something about needing to shower, and disappeared upstairs. I stood there in the kitchen holding a takeout container she said she wasn't hungry for and felt off, like I was a background character in my own house. Still, I did what I always did. Pushed it down. Told myself I was being paranoid. She was tired. I was tired. But then little things kept piling up. She started asking pointed questions about the business, revenue streams, ownership percentages. She got real curious about the payroll system. She even asked about our LLC protections just in case anything ever happened. That's when the knot in my gut started to form. Miranda had always had this way of making her curiosity sound innocent, like she was just taking an interest. But this was different. She was cataloging things, keeping track. I could feel it. And then fate threw me a bone I didn't know I needed, my best friend, Tyler. We'd been tight since high school, before the chrome and tools and paint booths. He'd helped me rebuild my first engine in his mom's garage. He was also newly single and back on the dating apps, swiping and laughing and doing what single guys do on weekends. One night we were watching a playoff game and he froze mid-swipe. Dude, I think I just saw Miranda. I laughed. I thought he was messing with me. But he showed me the screen, and there she was. Different name, sure. Lana, but the same photos. One of her at the lake house, another in our garage, for God's sake, next to a '67 Mustang we'd just finished. He swiped right out of instinct, matched, and when she replied within minutes, we both sat in stunned silence. That was the moment the switch flipped. Whatever illusions I had left about my wife, they burned right there on that couch. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overthinking. She wasn't just cheating. She was strategizing. And I was about to find out just how far she was willing to go. Tyler held up his phone like it was evidence in a courtroom. And honestly, it was. There she was. Miranda calling herself Lana M. Profile Bio. Adventurous soul looking for real connection. No drama, no games, just vibes. I nearly choked on my beer. "She's literally standing in your garage in this pic," Tyler said, zooming in on the photo. She was smiling, leaning against the black Camaro I'd spent 3 months restoring for a celebrity client. I remembered that day. She'd asked me to take a picture of her there, said she liked the lighting. I thought she wanted it for Instagram. Nope. Apparently, she needed a solid glam shot for her double life. "She say anything?" I asked, my throat dry. "Yeah," Tyler said, tapping the screen. "She said I looked familiar, that I had a working man's energy she liked." Then he scrolled again. "She wants to meet." My stomach turned. There was no denying it now. Miranda had been playing this game long enough to feel confident. Too confident. That night, Tyler and I went full detective. We created a burner profile to keep the convo going and asked all the right questions. Lana, was ready to jump ship. She said she was married but emotionally separated. Her husband never appreciated her ambition, and she was building something new for herself. She even mentioned she was waiting for the right financial window to exit. That's when it clicked. She was stalling for the quarter to close, the most profitable 3 months we'd had since opening. Once that income hit the books, she could file and claim half of it, and I'd be left stunned, blindsided, gutted financially and emotionally. I stared at Tyler. She's been planning this. Every question she asked me about the books, she was prepping. This isn't just cheating. It's a hit job. We started taking screenshots. Everything, every message, every picture, every creepy little breadcrumb she left. Tyler even suggested recording a video call, but I told him no, just the written proof was damning enough. I didn't want this to become revenge porn. I wanted justice, not a circus. But I knew one thing for sure. If she was bold enough to flirt from inside my shop, she wasn't going to stop until she got what she came for, unless we beat her to it. Continue when you're ready for Section 4, Screenshots and Sickening Truth. Over the next 2 weeks, Tyler and I operated like a damn private investigation unit. Every night, after the shop closed, we'd meet in the back office and go over what Miranda had sent to Lana's matches, one of whom was now Tyler in disguise. It was surreal. Watching my wife talk about me like I was some lazy burden she had to carry, while sitting across the dinner table from me like nothing was wrong. The worst one? She messaged, "He thinks the business is our love story. Truth is, I've just been waiting for the books to fatten up so I can cash out. I give it 2 months. Tops. After that, I'm gone. And free. Free. Like she was trapped in a prison made of chrome bumpers and lifted suspensions. I printed that one out and stared at it for hours. I remembered every late night I stayed in the garage trying to make payroll work. The time I sold my old Harley to keep the lights on in our 2nd year. The Christmas we skipped gifts just to cover new tire machines. And she had been biding her time, looking for an exit strategy. I confronted her, once, just to test the waters. I casually brought up dating apps over dinner and asked her if she ever wondered what it was like being single again. Her answer? Sometimes. Doesn't everybody? She didn't even flinch. That's when I knew. I wasn't dealing with guilt. I was dealing with cold calculation. Tyler kept the messages going long enough to draw out the full picture. Miranda had talked about meeting in person, had even suggested weekends she'd be visiting her sister. But the kicker? She wasn't just planning to leave. She had already quietly contacted a divorce lawyer. Tyler did a reverse image search on one of her selfies and found a blog post where the same photo was used on a woman empowerment piece. Under her maiden name, Miranda was building a new identity, branding herself for sympathy, spinning the narrative before she ever walked out the door. Victim mode, engaged. But she didn't know what we knew. She didn't know we were compiling evidence, and she sure as hell didn't know we were going to drop it on her at her own family dinner. Miranda's family dinners were a spectacle, monthly affairs where her parents, Regina and Douglas, held court like minor royalty. Picture-polished cutlery, dry wine, and judgmental glances passed like hors d'oeuvres. Every gathering was just a platform for posturing. Who got promoted, who remodeled their kitchen, whose kids were starting piano lessons. They adored Miranda. To them, she was the golden daughter who married the ambitious grease monkey and tamed him into something palatable. So when Miranda invited me to the next dinner, I said yes with a smile. Because this time, I wasn't walking in as their charity case. I was walking in with the truth and receipts. Tyler, my partner in truth by now, came along under the pretense of discussing a joint venture with me. He cleaned up well, wore a blazer, even brought a bottle of wine like a polite guest. Miranda didn't question it. She'd always liked Tyler, said he had potential, unlike me who was too content under the hood. We walked into the usual scene. Regina in pearls, Douglas already 2 glasses in, her younger sister Daphne gushing about her new Pilates instructor. Miranda greeted me with a kiss that didn't land and whispered, "Don't bring up the garage, okay?" They don't really get it. I nodded. Oh, I wasn't bringing up the garage. Dinner began as usual, rigid pleasantries, backhanded compliments. Douglas asked Tyler how the single life was treating him. Tyler just smirked and said, "Eventful, actually. Met someone recently, online of all places." Miranda looked up just briefly, then back to her wine. "Oh," Regina chimed in. "Anyone serious?" "Hard to say," Tyler replied casually. "She goes by Lana, but she's married, said she's emotionally separated, building a new future, real independent type." The air changed. Miranda's fork froze halfway to her mouth. "She showed me pictures," Tyler continued. "Beautiful woman. Recognized one of the photos, actually. Black Camaro. Same one from the magazine spread, right, Caleb?" I nodded slowly, not even pretending anymore. "That's the one." "From the garage." Miranda dropped her fork. There it was, the first crack, a splinter in the facade. Tyler pulled out his phone. "I brought dessert," he said. "Screenshots." It was the sound of her fork hitting porcelain that set the whole table into a hush. Even Daphne, who never shut up, went silent. Regina blinked slowly like she couldn't tell if she was watching real life or some low-budget soap opera. And Miranda? She just stared at Tyler, trying to smile, but it came out cracked and twitchy. "Tyler," she said, her voice pitched just a little too high. "This isn't funny." "I'm not joking," he replied, calmly placing his phone in the center of the table. Her name was Lana on the app, but I recognized the face. "And when she sent me this..." He swiped to the first screenshot. I realized I knew the Camaro. "Your shop, Caleb." Regina leaned in, confused. What is this?" Tyler turned the screen toward her. There it was, Miranda's profile, her photo, her flirty bio, and a private message time-stamped just 3 days ago talking about how she was almost free and just waiting for the books to fatten up. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I watched the expressions change like waves rolling over a sinking ship. "What is this garbage?" Miranda finally snapped, reaching for the phone. Tyler pulled it back, calm as ever. "I've got them backed up, Miranda." No need to grab. Her father's face turned red, then purple. "Are you cheating on my daughter? Is that what this is?" "No, sir," Tyler said, slowly and clearly. "I matched with her on an app while she was pretending to be single. I thought she looked familiar. Caleb and we connected the dots." Miranda laughed, but it was hollow. "This is insane. Anyone can fake a profile." "Except you talked to me," Tyler said, voice like steel. "You told me your husband was a joke, a leech, that you built everything, even told me about your exit plan, remember? The financial window you were waiting on?" Douglas turned to Miranda with a look I'd never seen before. Shame and fury welded together. "Is this true?" She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. "It's all true," I said quietly. "She's been planning this for months. I've got the messages, the timeline. She was going to blindside me right after our biggest quarter ever. Try to take half. Miranda looked around the table like a cornered animal, calculating. But we weren't done, not even close. It was like watching a crack spread across glass in slow motion. At first, Miranda just sat there, lips parted, breathing shallow. Then her expression shifted. Denial, anger, panic, and finally, tears. "You don't know what it's been like," she burst out, voice trembling. "I've supported you through everything, every oil-stained broke year. I was the one who helped you get that first loan. I earned that garage just as much as you." She stood up suddenly, grabbing a napkin to dab at her eyes like some movie scene. I didn't move. Tyler didn't move. Her family, still stunned. Daphne looked like she wanted to disappear into her wine glass. Regina's mouth was pressed so tight, it was practically gone. "Miranda," Douglas said, voice low and sharp, "did you make this profile? Did you say those things?" She hesitated, just long enough. Then, "I was venting. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I never actually met anyone. And Tyler, he catfished me. That's manipulation." Tyler raised an eyebrow. "You matched with me. You initiated. You shared plans to drain Caleb and walk." Her eyes flicked to me. "And what? You're just going to believe him? Over me?" "I didn't need to believe anyone," I said, finally speaking. "I saw your messages. You were careful, but not careful enough. And let's not forget the divorce papers your lawyer sent to ours last week. You thought I wouldn't notice?" Her jaw dropped. I watched her reach for a lie, then pause. The room felt like it was holding its breath. "You weren't supposed to find out like this," she said softly. "You were never supposed to get hurt." I laughed, cold and bitter. "That's the problem, Miranda. You didn't just hurt me. You tried to take everything I built. Everything we built." "But I deserved more," she snapped suddenly. "You got all the glory while I sat at home managing the books, playing supportive wife. I was dying inside. Then leave," I said, "but don't steal what doesn't belong to you." Douglas finally stood. "Miranda, we need to talk. Privately." But it was too late for privacy. The mask was gone, and the truth was bleeding out for everyone to see. Miranda scoffed and turned toward her father like he'd be her last safe harbor. "Dad, I didn't cheat. I needed a backup plan." But Douglas wasn't looking at her the way she expected. He looked disgusted, disappointed. That hit her harder than any words I could have said. You could see it in how she deflated slightly, like a child realizing the scolding was real this time. She turned back to me, and I could see her reshuffling, trying to regain control. "You want to play hardball, Caleb?" she said, voice dropping. "Fine. We'll let the courts sort it out. Half is mine, no matter how much you cry betrayal." I took a long breath and calmly reached into the inside pocket of my jacket. "I figured you'd say that," I said, sliding the document across the table. She looked down at the cream-colored envelope, confused. She didn't touch it. "That's the revised prenup," I explained. "The one you signed last year when we refinanced the shop for the expansion. Remember? You said you were too busy to read it and that you trusted me." Tyler muttered under his breath. "She might want to read it now." She slowly picked it up, opened the flap, and pulled out the pages. As her eyes scanned the first paragraph, her face dropped. "What is this?" she whispered. "It's a clause update," I replied. "You waived all claims to the business if marital fraud or premeditated financial harm was proven. My lawyer insisted on it before the new investor money came in." Her hand started to tremble. "You tricked me?" "I protected myself," I said, which is apparently the only smart thing I did in this marriage. Regina suddenly stood up. "Miranda, tell me this isn't true. Tell me you didn't plan to rob your own husband." Miranda was frozen, eyes darting across the lines of legal text like she could will the words to change. She couldn't. You signed it, I said softly. You walked me into this mess, but you're not walking out with half. She looked up at me, face pale and trembling. You set me up. No, I said. You exposed yourself. I just stopped pretending not to see it. It was Regina who broke the silence first, and not with her usual tight-lipped politeness. She slammed her wine glass down so hard the stem snapped. I cannot believe this, she hissed. All this time we defended you, praised you, told people how lucky Caleb was to have a wife like you. And this is what you've been doing behind his back? Miranda looked stunned. Mom, you don't understand. No, you don't understand, Regina snapped, voice shaking. This man built a business from nothing. He let you attach your name to it, and you were scheming? Playing the victim while laying the groundwork to rob him blind? Douglas stood beside his wife, arms crossed, face dark. I'm ashamed of you. The words hit Miranda harder than anything else that night. All her bravado, her entitled smirks, her moral gymnastics gone in an instant. She sank back into her chair like the weight of her own choices had finally registered. You lied to us, her sister Daphne added quietly. You always made it sound like Caleb didn't do enough, like he was the problem, but he was the only one actually building something real. Miranda's eyes welled up. I was tired. I didn't know how to say I wanted something different. Then say it, I cut in, firm. Don't play the long con. Don't look me in the eye every day, sleep in my bed, eat food I paid for, smile at me, and secretly plan to gut me. I didn't think you'd ever find out, she whispered. That's the part you should be worried about, Tyler muttered. She buried her face in her hands. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But it did, Douglas said sharply. And now you need to deal with the consequences. Regina turned to me. Caleb, I don't know how to undo what's been done, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. I nodded. Thanks, but I'm not staying for dessert. Tyler stood up with me. As I walked toward the door, I glanced back once. Miranda was sitting there alone at the table, surrounded by her perfect family, now fractured by the truth. Continue when you're ready for Section 10. Walking away with my dignity. Walking out of that house felt like stepping through a fire, and coming out cleaner on the other side. Tyler and I didn't say much in the car. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was heavy, settled. Like the kind of silence you earn after surviving something that tried to break you. I stared out the window as the streetlights passed in slow rhythm. Part of me still couldn't believe it had all unraveled like that. 6 years. 6 damn years of shared bills, shared goals, shared lies. All exposed over roasted lamb and Cabernet. You good? Tyler finally asked. I exhaled. I will be. Back at the shop, I stayed late. I didn't even touch the lights. Just sat in the garage in the dim glow of the street lamp pouring through the bay doors. My hands still smelled like oil, and honestly, that was comforting. Real. Unlike the woman who'd shared my name, the next few days were brutal in their own quiet way. Miranda tried calling. She emailed. She even had her lawyer send a half-hearted apology with some nonsense about a mutual parting agreement. I didn't respond, not once. My lawyer did, and the prenup held. Word got around. Small town, big mouths. At first I dreaded it, but then something funny happened. People started showing up with support. Clients, old friends, even neighbors who barely waved before. Everyone had a story of someone who tried to take them down from the inside. Turns out betrayal's more common than we think. We just don't always talk about it. Tyler? He never once said I told you so. Instead, he came by with beer and a paint sprayer, helped me finish that long-delayed side project, revamping the back wall of the garage. In bold letters, we painted, built, not bought. The garage was mine, still mine. And for the first time in years, I didn't have to explain that to anyone. I didn't walk away from Miranda bitter. I walked away clear. And clarity? That's worth more than any settlement she was hoping to steal. Some betrayals burn you to ash, others refine you. Miranda's did both. The official divorce finalized in less than 4 months, quicker than anyone expected. That prenup she barely read, ironclad. She tried one last play for sympathy, but her own messages buried any case she had. In the end, she walked away with her clothes, a used SUV, and a face no longer welcome at her own family's dinners. Regina wrote me a letter, handwritten, apologized again, said Miranda was getting therapy and staying with a cousin out west. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, but because I'd said everything I needed to that night. The garage, flourishing. Tyler officially became a business partner. We rebranded to C&B Customs, but we kept the soul intact. He brought fresh ideas, new energy. Clients respected him, and more importantly, I trusted him without second-guessing. Trust had become a precious thing. And then there was Holly. She was a local muralist, came in to ask if she could paint the side of our shop. Said she loved the way we resurrected beauty from rust. I laughed at that, but her words stuck. She ended up painting a 30-foot piece across our exterior wall. Classic cars with wings, breaking chains. Freedom in chrome. We got coffee, then lunch. And slowly something real began to grow. Not fast, not desperate. Just honest. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. Said betrayal's a crucible. It either burns you hollow or forges you into something stronger. She was right. These days I sleep better. Not because life's perfect, but because it's mine again. Miranda taught me a hard truth. Not everyone beside you is really with you. But Tyler, the garage, Holly, they reminded me that the right people don't need to manipulate you to stand beside you. They just show up, every damn day. And that's more than I ever had with her. Have you ever felt blindsided by someone you thought you knew better than anyone? Betrayal cuts deep, especially when it comes from the one person you trusted with your future. I hope my story reminded you that it's okay to rebuild, to protect yourself, to start over without apology. You're not weak for being hurt. You're strong for surviving. So if you've ever been through something like this, drop it in the comments. You don't have to name names. Just say, I've been there. Because sometimes knowing you're not alone is the first step back to clarity.
This story is coming to an end. Press like if you like this, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to hear more story from us.